The galaxy had celebrated for 7 straight cycles after the final battle above Earth's burning skies, convinced that humanity had been erased forever by the combined fleets of the Galactic Dominion, the Sovereign Council, and dozens of powerful civilizations that had long feared the unpredictable species from the small blue world. Entire systems held festivals, monuments were raised to commemorate the end of humanity, and history archives officially declared Earth an extinct civilization, warning future generations that defiance against the Council would always end the same way. The few surviving human distress signals gradually faded into silence, and eventually even those disappeared. For nearly 200 years, no human ship was ever detected. No colony answered long-range scans, and no trace of Earth's once famous star navy remained. The galaxy moved on, believing it had finally achieved eternal peace. Yet deep beneath the oceans of ruined Earth, inside vaults hidden miles below the crust, ancient quantum beacons continued counting every passing second. Humanity had never planned to win the war they could not win. They had planned something far more dangerous. They had planned to disappear. Long before the invasion, Earth's greatest scientists discovered mysterious ruins buried beneath Antarctica, Mars, Europa, and several distant exoplanets. The ruins belonged to an unimaginably ancient civilization that had vanished millions of years before the first modern species evolved. Hidden within the ruins was a network called the Silent Lattice, an impossible communication system capable of reaching abandoned worlds across the entire galaxy instantly through quantum resonance. The inscriptions carried a warning translated by human linguists after decades of study. When the stars fall silent, awaken the forgotten. No one understood its meaning until humanity faced extinction. In the final hours before Earth's defeat, Admiral Elias Ward authorized Project Echo, transmitting a single encrypted message through the Silent Lattice before every major communication array was destroyed. The message was astonishingly simple: Earth still stands. If you remember the first promise, answer. Then the beacons went silent. Centuries passed before the impossible happened. On a forgotten mining station orbiting a dead planet called Vargos 9, an automated sensor detected energy unlike anything recorded in history. At first, engineers dismissed it as background radiation, but the signal repeated every 17 minutes with mathematical precision. Similar reports soon emerged from abandoned colonies, lifeless moons, shattered ring worlds, and planets believed to have been sterile for millions of years. One by one, thousands of supposedly dead worlds began transmitting identical pulses aimed toward Earth's coordinates. Panic spread through scientific communities. Exploration fleets were dispatched only to discover empty cities lighting up by themselves, orbital elevators repairing without visible workers, ancient defense satellites awakening from impossible ages of dormancy, and massive underground facilities opening their sealed doors for the first time in eons. Everywhere, explorers found the same symbol carved into walls older than recorded history: a human hand surrounded by stars. The Galactic Council insisted it was coincidence until surveillance drones captured something that shattered every accepted theory. On the surface of the dead world Nereus Prime, millions of dormant machines emerged from beneath crimson sands and assembled into towering structures while broadcasting in flawless modern English. Signal acknowledged. Humanity recognized, awaiting further instruction. Across the galaxy, forgotten planets repeated the same words in thousands of alien languages. Fear replaced celebration almost overnight. Historians began uncovering censored fragments from civilizations older than their own. Stories describing mysterious travelers who wandered the stars carrying knowledge instead of conquest. They were called the First Builders, the Keepers, the Wanderers, but every legend agreed on one impossible detail: they looked human. The Council dismissed the discoveries as myth until archaeological dating proved the records were millions of years older than modern humanity itself. Questions multiplied faster than answers. Had humans evolved twice? Were they descendants of the Builders? Or had Earth merely inherited an ancient legacy? Then another transmission arrived. This time it did not come from a dead planet but from Earth's long silent moon. Hidden beneath kilometers of lunar rock, an enormous installation activated, projecting a holographic map of the entire galaxy. Every dead world now glowed blue instead of gray. At the center appeared a message left by someone who looked unmistakably human, yet wore clothing no civilization recognized. To those who hear this, the figure said calmly, "If the silent worlds awaken, then our children have survived another darkness." The recording explained that millions of years earlier, The original human civilization had spread throughout the galaxy, not as conquerors but as guardians who seeded knowledge, terraformed barren planets, and built emergency sanctuaries in case intelligent life ever faced extinction. Eventually, they departed beyond known space after predicting a cosmic catastrophe, leaving behind dormant worlds programmed to awaken only if a civilization carrying humanity's genetic signature requested aid through the silent lattice. Earth's modern humans were not strangers to this inheritance. They were the descendants of those who chose to remain behind and begin civilization again from nothing, deliberately forgetting their former greatness so every generation would earn wisdom instead of inheriting power. The revelation fractured the galaxy. Some refused to believe it, while others demanded immediate surrender to whatever remained of humanity. Before decisions could be made, every awakened world began manufacturing ships unlike anything in existence. They were not warships in the traditional sense, but living vessels woven from self-repairing crystal alloys, capable of folding space without hyperspace lanes. Entire fleets assembled around planets that had been declared dead for millions of years. Yet none moved aggressively. They simply waited, engines silent, pointed toward Earth. Finally, after 2 centuries of silence, another transmission emerged from the Sol system. Cameras focused on Earth's scarred surface, expecting ruins, but instead, vast oceans shimmered with new cities hidden beneath protective energy domes. Humanity had survived underground and beneath the seas, rebuilding patiently while refusing to announce its existence until Project Echo succeeded. A single woman stepped before the camera wearing no military insignia, only a simple blue uniform marked with Earth's ancient emblem. She introduced herself as High Envoy Maya Ward, descendant of Admiral Elias Ward, and smiled gently at the stunned galaxy. "You believed extinction meant defeat," she said. "For humanity, extinction was camouflage. While you celebrated, we listened. While you dismantled your fleets, we rebuilt our future. We did not call the silent worlds to destroy you. We called them to remind the galaxy why they were built." Behind her, the skies above Earth filled with millions of ancient guardian vessels emerging from orbit, each answering not to weapons but to humanity's voice. Council admirals ordered every available fleet into defensive formation, expecting immediate retaliation, but none came. Instead, every awakened world simultaneously transmitted a declaration heard in every language across known space. The first promise remains. No civilization shall face extinction while humanity endures. The message stunned billions because it carried no threat, only an offer. Worlds devastated by famine suddenly received autonomous agricultural stations. Civilizations trapped by dying suns discovered orbital engines repositioning planets into habitable zones. Ancient diseases disappeared after medical archives hidden beneath forgotten worlds activated. Pirate empires found their weapons mysteriously disabled without a single battle. Humanity had inherited power beyond imagination, yet chose restoration instead of revenge. Many who had once cheered Earth's destruction now knelt in shame, realizing they had mistaken compassion for weakness. Over time, even former enemies accepted humanity's invitation to rebuild a fractured galaxy together, though the memory of their celebration never faded. Historians would later write that the greatest mistake the galaxy ever made was believing humanity's silence meant absence, because the truth was far stranger. Every dead world had been listening, patiently waiting for one familiar signal from Earth, and when that signal finally arrived, the forgotten guardians of countless civilizations awakened not to wage war, but to fulfill an ancient promise that no darkness, no empire, and no extinction would ever silence humanity again. Yet the greatest revelation was still waiting beyond the edge of known space. Only weeks after the silent worlds pledged themselves to Earth's command, the ancient Guardian fleet unexpectedly altered course. Millions of living ships aligned in perfect formation and aimed their bows toward the dark void outside the mapped galaxy. Every human commander watched in confusion because no order had been given. Then, for the first time since the awakening, the oldest vessel in the entire network transmitted a priority message directly to Earth. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for the returning night. Those 4 words froze every scientist and historian. Deep inside the archives beneath Antarctica, researchers uncovered one final sealed chamber that even Project Echo had never accessed. It contained an impossibly old star map showing not one galaxy, but hundreds connected by ancient transit corridors. Across those maps, entire galaxies were marked with a single symbol, a black spiral accompanied by one chilling warning. When the silent worlds awaken, they are not answering a victory. They are preparing for a war that never truly ended. Before the meaning could be understood, long-range observatories detected something impossible beyond intergalactic space. Entire clusters of stars were vanishing, not exploding, not collapsing, but simply disappearing as if erased from existence. The phenomenon moved with deliberate speed, crossing millions of light-years while leaving behind absolute darkness where galaxies had once existed. Refugee probes from civilizations no one had ever encountered burst into the Milky Way carrying fragmented distress messages. Their translators produced only one repeated sentence: "They found us, run." The Galactic Council, once arrogant and divided, immediately requested an emergency summit on Earth itself, abandoning centuries of political pride. This time no one sat above humanity. Every ambassador stood as High Envoy Maya Ward entered the chamber. Without anger or triumph, she activated the final archive. A hologram of the ancient human guardian appeared once again, his face solemn. "If you are seeing this," he began, "then the civilizations of this galaxy have survived long enough to awaken the silent worlds. That means our oldest enemy has crossed the void." The recording explained that millions of years earlier, the first humanity had not disappeared by choice alone. They had fought an incomprehensibly advanced force known only as the Endless Silence. A civilization that consumed entire galaxies by extinguishing every intelligent species before they could unite. The original humans realized they could never defeat such an enemy through military strength alone. Instead, they scattered their descendants across the stars, erased much of their own history, and built the silent worlds as seeds of hope, believing that one day a younger humanity, stronger because it had learned compassion through hardship, would succeed where the ancients had failed. The room fell into absolute silence. Everything humanity had endured, every exile, every war, every sacrifice had unknowingly prepared them for this single moment. Almost as if responding to the recording, every awakened world lit up simultaneously. Massive planetary shipyards hidden beneath ancient oceans and mountain ranges emerged into the light, constructing colossal vessels larger than moons. Unlike the first Guardian fleet, these were true warships, designed by a civilization that had once defended entire galaxies. Yet each vessel remained dormant, waiting for one command from modern humanity rather than the ghosts of the past. Maya Ward looked across the chamber at allies and former enemies alike, before speaking the words that echoed across every inhabited system. The last time the darkness came, humanity stood alone. This time, no civilization fights alone. Her declaration spread faster than light itself. Species that had once feared one another shared technology without hesitation. Ancient rivalries ended within days. Shipyards worked without rest as humans and aliens built a united fleet, unlike anything history had ever witnessed. Even the planets that had celebrated Earth's extinction volunteered their greatest warriors, admitting that without humanity, there would have been no future left to defend. Months later, as the combined armada assembled around the Sol system, the stars beyond the galactic rim began to disappear one after another, like candles extinguished by an invisible hand. Then every sensor across the galaxy detected the same overwhelming signal approaching from the darkness. It was older than recorded time, stronger than the combined energy of countless suns, and carried only 3 translated words: humanity still remains alive. For several endless seconds nothing happened. Then from millions of awakened worlds, every Guardian ship ignited its engines in perfect unison, illuminating the galaxy with rivers of blue light. The ancient fleet had waited millions of years for this exact moment, not to protect Earth but to stand beside the descendants who had finally become worthy of leading every free civilization. As humanity's flagship moved to the front of the greatest alliance ever assembled, Maya Ward smiled at the endless darkness beyond the stars and quietly whispered the words that soon echoed from billions of voices across the galaxy. "This time, you're the ones facing extinction."